Hi, it's Rhiannon. It's been a while, but I'm here to tell you a story. So I was thinking, well, actually, I came to contact with somebody today, and I've been thinking a lot about the fact that it has been a while since I've done a video. And most recently, it was because I was recovering from surgery and still had some bruising on my face, which has finally gone away. And so I wanted to get back to it. But it had been a stretch since my video prior to having the surgery and the bruising and all the rest of that fun stuff. But today, I fortuitously came into contact with a person who's just absolutely effervescent, so lovely, and very excited to have met her in the most random of ways, buying a mirror off of Facebook Marketplace. But she's fantastic, and I'm very excited to continue to get to know her. But she immediately was just such an encouragement. And I went to her Facebook page and was looking, in one of the shirts she's wearing in a photo that she has posted is basically the rally to do it. You know, do the podcast, write the book, take the journey, jump out into your adventure. And so we had chatted while I was picking up this mirror about things we do or are interested in and how life goes. And it was just kind of a rally cry to stop procrastinating and get back to doing the things that really matter to me. And so I love doing these videos and sharing memories and moments and encouragement in whatever capacity they might land with others, and reaching out to people that I care about through this and that I don't get to see all the time. So I'm back, hopefully more consistent. I think I've said that once or twice before. But it's nearly a new year, and just as good an opportunity as any to have a new start, which of course does not have to land with the new calendar year. You can have a new year beginning at any moment in time. But I was thinking in the months preceding Thanksgiving about gratitude, and continued to think on that, and was really trying to focus on being grateful for each moment and opportunity. And so I gave that a lot of thought and had intended multiple times to do a video. And since I had this really amazing encounter today, it reminded me again about the importance of being grateful. And then tying that also to Christmas reminded me of one of my most favorite gifts, which I think I've mentioned before. So not surprising, if you've listened to any of my videos or watched any of my videos, you know that I have had some ups and downs in my childhood as far as possessions are concerned, and things that we'd have for a season and then we'd lose stuff through a variety of different reasons, sometimes financial, sometimes theft, other times just unfortunate. So with all of that, one of my best, most amazing gifts that I ever received, which is kind of funny actually when you think about it, but when I was 16, I just turned 17. It was the Christmas of my senior year of high school. So I'm sure a lot of girls their senior year of high school would be excited to get, I don't know, a car or something fantastic. I do remember one other thing I got that year, a sweatshirt. So actually it was kind of a thing that I've done for my girls. I got them each a college sweatshirt for their Christmas of their senior year. So my daughter this year got my middle daughter, Caitlin, got a sweatshirt for her college where she wants to go. And my oldest, she got a sweatshirt for Grand Canyon when she was a senior. I got a sweatshirt for USC, and that's where I was intending to go to college when I graduated. Things went down a different road when my dad had a heart attack right before I was due to go to college. So we pivoted. I'll talk more about that another time. But that year, my most special gift, and definitely the most special Christmas gift I've ever received, was a stuffed animal, a stuffed dog named Perry. My grandma Moyers knitted him for me, or crocheted him. I guess it doesn't matter, but she made him for me. And he was a hodgepodge of a bunch of different colors and kind of looked like a wiener dog, but like a longer face. He wasn't to look exactly like a dog, but he was my most favorite. And if you've never had an attachment thing, I guess you won't probably understand this, but Perry was my thing. And so my grandma made him originally for me when I was 3. And with having a lot of turmoil and movement and chaos in my childhood, it was always really important to my sister and I. We were very bonded to our stuffed animals and our dolls because those were our little family members. And so in spite of the upheaval and the movement and all the rest of that stuff, we had our little tribe. We had each other, but we also had our little tribe of stuffed animals and dolls. And they each had a story. In the fantastical world that we lived in our imagination, we had first and middle names. Well, I did for all of my dolls, and they were always set in the place of honor. But Perry was my most favorite. And so from the time I was 3 until I was in 8th grade, Perry went with me everywhere. And I mean everywhere. If I went to sleepaway camp, Perry came with me. He was always on my bed, always in front of my main pillow, like he had the most prominent place of honor. And when I was in 8th grade, we moved from Knoxville back to San Diego. And in doing so, we packed up all of our stuff. We were having movers store it for a time. And then once we found a house in San Diego, we were going to send for our stuff. Well, things went a different way. And again, normally Perry would go with me everywhere. But I felt like leaving my dolls in this big box because I had a lot of dolls, stuffed animals. Again, still in 8th grade. Whatever. I am who I am. I love my dolls. So I had all my dolls in this huge box, and I felt they were going to be scared or nervous if Perry wasn't with them because he was like the leader of the pack. And so I put him on the very top of the box, and I gave him a hug and a kiss first, and I told him that he was in charge and it was his job to make sure everybody else felt safe. So I packed my box, and it was just like heartbreaking because I wanted to take them with me, but we were driving across country and there was no room for anything extra at all. So I left them behind. And months turned into years, and before we knew it, many years had passed. The storage bill had gotten to be so much money that my dad could not afford to pay it. Then on top of it, you'd have to bring everything across country, which would be quite costly. And we just never really they hadn't prioritized paying for that. And so my senior year, I guess it was right before my senior year started, we had gotten word that everything had been sold. That they had auctioned it. It's kind of hard for me to watch things like Storage Wars and stuff like that because that's been my stuff. And I guess if I ever did stuff like that, if I did Storage Wars, which by the way, I would never buy someone else's stuff. I can't imagine doing that. But I would do it only for the purpose of finding the person, and any of their sentimental items, I would return to them. Because like, what do you care about a bunch of stuffed animals? You're not going to get anything for that. The least you could do is like call the person. I mean, my baby albums, literally everything we owned was in that storage container. And so we lost all of it. But the only thing that really crushed me, and I think I like cried myself to sleep for like a week, was that Perry was there and I lost him. And he meant so much to me because he was my buddy who had just traversed all over the country with me and was literally with me on all of these other things. And how could I be so irresponsible to leave him behind? And he must have been scared, and I can't believe I abandoned him. And it's just like all this incredible guilt. Now, again, I fully cognizantly recognize that's a stuffed animal, okay? I get it. But it was more than that to me. He was like my security blanket. So when I'm opening up my presents Christmas morning, I open up this one from my grandma Moyers, and she has made me another Perry. And I ugly cried. It is so fabulous. And the thing is, she gave me back a piece of my childhood, and she was the original giver. And so it was the exact same template, and he looked a little different, but he was Perry too. So, you know, that was fine. And he has gone with me everywhere since. And so every move I made, everywhere I went, if I went away on a business trip, Perry went with me. Went to Mexico for a wedding one year. Perry went with me, like everywhere I went, no matter what, except for when I had my kids. I was in the hospital. Perry didn't come to the hospital with me, but he went everywhere with me, and I slept with him every single night. And it was that same thing. He brought me that comfort and peace, and I'm so grateful to my grandmother for giving me that back. And I don't know if she ever understood how precious that gift was to me, but I have cherished it ever since. And I remember when I was in high school, well, it was like my senior year, but if a guy was mean to my Perry doll when he was on the bed, I'd break up with him. I'm sorry, you've misunderstood your importance in my life. You mess with my dog, you're out. I'm a quirky one. I'm on the odd scale, but that's okay with me. I am who I am. I'm not trying to hide that. So Perry was always there. Always that thing that I slept with, my comfort. And it was the most fascinating thing. But when I started dating my now husband, after we had been dating for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, I didn't feel the need for that comfort anymore from Perry. He didn't lose his place of honor or importance as far as all the gratitude for the comfort that he's brought me all of these years. But I didn't need that security blanket anymore because I felt so secure and so loved and cared for, and I haven't felt differently since. And it's the most incredible thing because it wasn't, I'd gone that stretch during high school from 8th grade, the end of 8th grade until, December of my senior year. I'd gone without Perry, and I'd certainly survived, but I missed it, and I longed for that comfort again, and I didn't have it. And when I didn't need it anymore, that was a pretty cool thing. And it wasn't even an overnight sort of situation. It just recognized I was going on a trip, I think, and I didn't have any urgency to take him with me. And so I set him on the bed and said my goodbyes, and that was fine. And I didn't feel anxious about it. And again, I know that sounds so weird, but if you're a person who ever had a security anything, blanket, doll, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. If you've left your thing behind, you feel it. And what's weird is now my husband is kind of that security. I don't like traveling without him. I miss him. And not that like he's not a security blanket, but he's my best friend, and I enjoy his company. I love spending time with him. And so it's just really kind of amazing. I would have never imagined feeling that way towards another person, towards a person, the way that I felt, or that peace and comfort that I felt from Perry, and all the love that he had sort of absorbed from me over the years, and all of the comfort and the tears that I had cried over him. I never imagined that I wouldn't still need that or want that. But I'm so grateful that I had it, and so grateful to my grandma, who is in heaven now, but that she made that she loved us in that way. And I can just imagine her, knitting and crocheting, all of these things that she did for us over the years, how much love she poured into them and how we received that. And so that was a really cool gift. And again, super grateful for that. So I guess also I just want to reiterate, because I think I've said this before, but sentimental things are so incredible. And I think sometimes, especially, it was just Christmas, people get caught up in the materialistic aspects of that. When we buy something or do something extravagant, but sometimes the most meaningful and impactful things are the things that didn't cost a lot of money. I mean, it took my grandma time to make it, but the yarn, I'm sure, was not expensive, and she stuffed it with filling, not gold or something. And then she shipped it. But all of that stuff was a purposeful effort, and she took time to create that for me. And it was incredibly meaningful. All these years later, I graduated in 96. It was a stretch ago. And yet still, it's one of my most prized possessions. And I would probably grab for it with my photos. I'd grab for Perry and my photos and get out of the house with the kids and the cats. But that would kind of be all of the stuff. The kids can get out. They have legs. But Perry's legs don't work. Despite my convincing my sister that he was eating sandwiches and all of that stuff when we were little. So don't get burdened by not having the financial means, or feel guilty because you don't want to spend a ton of money on something. I think those moments and memories are just as important and special, and I hope that my kids agree and have cherished the memories more than the possessions, and leave with all of it just a sense of gratitude for whatever time they've had, whatever they have enjoyed, because that's what I'm hoping to impart on them and to share with you. So that's the story for today. Come back again. I'll tell you another story. I'll try to not make it take so long to get back around. Thanks. Bye.